All right, I just wanted to wish everybody a happy holidays, especially all my Jews out there. Happy Hanukkah. I'm doing something very special for this Hanukkah, and we'll have a video of that in the next few days. But I want to talk to you about a few things. I want to show you this. This is basically a paraphrased email of my one of my first haters. And he says, Tim, you only trade gimmies. Be a real man and trade Forex and large cap stocks. So I'll get back to that in a second, but first, I really want you to understand that you can save 70% right now off pre-sale on my new 20-hour plus DVD. It's all going to charity. It's called How to Make Millions. Um, it's going to be around 24 hours. It's going to encompass every single thing I know. And I'm not making a dime off it. It all goes to charity, and I think that is a very beautiful thing. It's going to be ready on Christmas Day. I'm working my butt off on it. You can pre-order it now, howtomakemillions.com. You save 70% off. So whether you get it now or you get it, in a month, it's the same product, but you can save 70% now. Trust me, it's going to be awesome. Now let's go back to this comment for a second. You only trade gimmies. Be a real man. I don't want to be a real man, okay? Anybody who knows me, I'm very immature. I made too much money when I was very young, and it's probably screwed me up for life. But at the same time, that's a good thing because I made a lot of money doing a very simple strategy. And yes, I do trade gimmies. I short sell scams and I buy companies that report good earnings and contracts for the most part. Every now and then I veer away. I short in a company that's getting exposed, or I buy a stock with a rumor. But if you want to break my strategy down, I buy small cap stocks that have good fundamental news, and I short sell or bet against fundamentally flawed companies. And there's a lot more to the strategy than just that, but yes, they are gimmies. And if you remember, in the past 2 weeks, I've been shorting ECRY, which is a blatant pump. Before it dropped just 75, 80% in the past week now. Made some money, covered too soon. But right now we have a gimme as an earnings winner. And I want to show you this example in real time, so that you can really learn what a gimme is. And this is, ZAGG, ZAGG. They basically make, little screens and accessories for your iPhone and tablets and stuff like that. It's not really an amazing business. And if you look at the multi-year chart, I mean, it's gotten hurt a lot. It's down off of its highs because now Apple is starting to make their own accessories and there's competitors. But what I want to focus on is just the past 100 days, because something remarkable happened today, and you can see it's up from 525, and it actually is 620 by 623. This 615 isn't a real print. I think it's like a delayed print, and it was actually just after hours. You can see here, it got up. This is a delayed print too. It didn't trade 50,000 shares just now. It traded 500 at 628 and 500 at 623 and 23 and 23, 24. So long story short, it closed at like 620, and after hours it's at 623-ish. And that's a very important point. And this is what my first hater hates so much, that I trade these perfect breakouts with very simple news. This company, if you look at their news, they just reported earnings and they basically upped their profits, their estimates. They were going to do roughly 15 million in expected profits. Now they're doing an expected 30 million. So 100% increase in profits because they're increasing their margins and their revenues are increasing a little bit faster. So a small increase in margins and a small increase in sales, I think it's like 10% upping of the guidance, it really grows their profits because they are a legitimate company. And this is the kind of company that I want to be long. And I'm not long this long term. I think that they're going to have a lot of long-term issues. But for now, the stock is up and the news is rather spectacular. This is where I think this comes in, where this is a gimme. I alerted my subscribers today. I bought this at 602 at first, and then I just added at 618. So we're up 10, 20 cents a share on it so far. I'm not interested in buying a $6 stock to make 10 or 20 cents a share, FYI. I know a lot of my trades, I make 10 or 20 cents a share. That's when something goes wrong. Okay? That's the beauty of my strategy, where even if something goes wrong, because I'm trying to be meticulous, if I do my strategy right, sometimes I get undisciplined, as I mentioned, but when I'm really disciplined and I'm meticulous with my entry prices, even when a trade goes wrong, like the worst case scenario is that I break even or make or lose 5 or 10 cents a share. But the reason why I'm up nearly $1 million in trading profits in 2014 is because I'm right roughly 2/3 of the time. And when I'm right, my gains are bigger than my losses. And here's what I'm looking for this stock to do tomorrow. Right now 620 by 623. The big question is tomorrow, can it break above 620? 620 is resistance. Actually, 623 is resistance here. So 620, 623. This goes back a month to November. And the high here was 618 back in September. If we scroll out to right here, oh, that's September. And then we go back here to July, the high was 620. And if we go back a year, you can still see the highs right there. Perfect top, 1, 2, 3. This was a breakout, although then they screwed it up. And now they're right back in the game. If you go back 2 years, you can see here the high was 595 and 6. So I actually tried buying these breakouts. I remember one of these. I don't remember which one, but I was buying this breakout above 595, and it got a little higher. It went to 620, but not much more than that. And then this time it did break out right before they had some really bad news. And now we're right back at this key level. And this is what I love about my strategy, where I'm already in at 602 and 618. So even if it does not break 620, I'm going to sell tomorrow probably. I don't want you to think that I'm holding this long term. I have 0 shares in a long-term account. This is purely, am I going to be right tomorrow or not? And that's why I'm making this video tonight, because you can see it in real time. I know a lot of people don't believe me. They don't believe my success. They don't believe Tim Grittani really took a few thousand and turned it into a few million. Michael Good has made millions, and now I have several students, closing in on $1 million. They don't believe that. That's fine. Don't believe it, whatever. Oh, look, it just traded again after hours as I'm doing this video, 624, another 500 shares. So the question is, can it break this key level that it's had problems with? At first it was 595 and then 6-ish and then 620-ish. And here we are right at the key moment in time. And this is the beauty of my strategy, where I'm already up, 10, 15 cents a share on my position. So that's cool. I was right to dip by it today. That was a good entry price, and then I added to my position because it was doing well. But no matter today, I wasn't selling. This whole question is, can it really spike again tomorrow? And this is what I trade, okay? I short sell scams because it's inevitable. It's not a question of if they're going to collapse 60, 70, 80, 90%. It's a question of when. And I believe that, if you watch my DVDs and video lessons, and especially my new DVD, my How to Make Millions DVD, you will see that there are very specific chart patterns and very specific indicators. Some of them are a little more subtle than you think. It's not just like, oh, great, Tim, this is a scam, let me short sell. Well, you have to know when. But there's a huge advantage in knowing that a pump and dump is definitely going to collapse at some point. And if you look at enough pump and dumps, you can see, wait a minute, then that last 5 pump and dumps did this exact same thing. What is the next pump and dump going to do? ECRY tanked on day 13 of the pump, exactly like the last promoter's pump, ALKM, tanked 50% on day 13. It's not rocket science. But earnings winners are a little different, because now this is a real company. We don't know what Zag is going to do, in the future. This might be a company that's going to blow up, and they're going to sell more iPad and iPhone accessories than ever, and Apple will end up buying them for $10 a share. That's possible. Or maybe Apple will crush them, or some other new company will come along and crush them. That's also possible. I don't know how this is going to end. So this isn't quite a gimme like shorting pump and dumps. But as many of you know, shorting pump and dumps is not always so easy to find shares to short at the right time. That is the most difficult part of the strategy. And this one, anybody can buy Zag. So I like buying earnings winners, even though they're not quite as much of a gimme. But here's my rationale for being long overnight this stock. And I want you to watch this tomorrow, and you'll see if I'm right. I definitely could be wrong. I might be taking a loss and I'm just going to be like, well, I took a loss. I'm not always right. And that could happen. But what I think is that the way that I've made my millions and the way that my top students and several of my friends have made their millions of dollars is by having the odds on their side. You never know 100% if you're going to make money in a stock. But if you do enough homework and you look at the charts and you look at how this stock has acted in the past and you look at the whole market and competitors and earnings winners in the past and you back test this stuff, you have a kind of vision and you can get the odds on your side. And I think that right now, Zag, the odds are on my side that this is going to go up. By how much tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to get to 630, 640, or even 680. We've seen a lot of earnings winners in the past, and they do some crazy, crazy stuff on day two. Let me show you PLNR, for example. This had a really good earnings win, and then, was it day two or was it day three? This is where it gets also inexact. Yeah, it was actually day three. So here's PLNR. They had really good earnings. Day one, the stock spiked, and I was long either on day one or day two. I didn't hold till day three, and day three is when it spiked from 6 to 8. That was pretty amazing. BDR is another earnings winner where it spiked here. You can see the gap, from 120 up to 170, and then day three it spiked. But I think the best example is VDSI, and I had this stock long right here on this earnings win in the nines. If you remember, I actually bought this long-term and short-term that day. And they were kind of a slow-growing company, kind of like Zag, and they blew out estimates. And I bought the stock late day on the dip in the 920s. And the next day, it went all the way to 11, and it's really never looked back. I don't know if Zag's chart is going to look like this, but I do hope that, this is what Zag is going to do over the next few days. And I think it's really, really possible, given the news. I mean, when a company, an underfollowed company, I'm looking on the message boards, I'm looking all over the place, no one even recognizes how good Zag's earnings report was, how good their guidance was, where you're literally doubling your profit expectations and the stock is only up 15%. There's a lot of doubters with this company, okay? And I'm not saying that they're going to revolutionize the world, that their products are amazing or anything, but I think the stock should be up more. And I think this is where, herein where lies the opportunity, where this stock is underfollowed. This is why I trade penny stocks. This is why I'm not a real man and I don't trade, large cap stocks, because if a large cap stock, if Google doubled their earnings estimates, it would be all over the news everywhere and it would be priced in immediately. With this one, I don't think people recognized it, and I don't think people are seeing the potential. You see Apple stock is right near all-time highs, but they're not remembering that, some of these accessory makers can really benefit. And so putting all of this together, where if this is an underfollowed penny stock that just reported amazing earnings and now it's breaking out above this, key level of 620, well, here's what it did last time. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, it got up to 690. Will it get up to 690? I don't know. What I do know is that I want to be long, and I am long. And I want you watching this because I think that with the earnings, with the fact that this company is underfollowed, with the fact that they're so closely tied to Apple, where they do have their products out there, they're big enough so that even if a competitor comes along, they might just buy the competitor. But the biggest thing is the profits and the technical breakout. When you have this many indicators on your side, it's very difficult to lose money. This, for me, is nearly as good as it gets for a gimme. Now, this is not going to be huge money. This is not as volatile of a stock as I like. I like stocks where they can literally go to $7 or $8 a share in the next day. I don't think this is going to jump $1 or $2. But the downside risk, this is where it gets really cool. If I'm wrong, I'm just going to get out at like 6 or maybe like 5.95 and I'll lose 10 or 15 cents a share. But if I'm right, I can make 20, 30, or even 40 or 50 cents a share. So the upside is more than the downside. The news tells me that there's probably going to be more buyers on this tomorrow. The technical breakout tells me that there's going to be more technical buyers. Some people ignore the news and they just focus on charts. No matter how you slice it, I think this stock is going higher a little bit tomorrow. I will be looking to sell into a spike, And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a gimme. And this is why I'm rich. I will do this kind of trade over and over and over again, and that will make you millions of dollars. Thank you.